On a recent Friday night in rural Pennsylvania, Democratic congressional hopeful Jess King meets with several dozen volunteers in her campaign headquarters.
We haven't seen a campaign like this before in this area.
She's running on progressive issues like universal health care and debt-free college in an area where poverty rates have risen 50% in less than 20 years. Instead of focusing on blue versus red, her campaign criticizes divisive rhetoric coming from both sides of the partisan divide in Washington, D.C.
They believe a political establishment has sold out and doesn't reflect their values.
Is anyone telling you that they're willing to change their vote now?
Absolutely. So I definitely had fear before I went, but it was dispelled almost immediately. We have been knocking on doors of Republicans and independents and Democrats.
You sign up for 15 shifts in the next 17 days. A big believer.
Volunteers like these have knocked on over 80,000 doors and made more than 500,000 phone calls to voters.
When America works for all of us.
Jess King has held over 50 town halls, avoids negative TV ads.
Politicians will not be bought and sold anymore.
And like other Democratic midterm candidates, shuns corporate political action campaign donations. It's a tight race against a well-funded and supported Republican incumbent, Lloyd Smucker, in a solidly pro-Trump area where the liberal-conservative divide goes back centuries. During the American Civil War in 1863, Union soldiers from this side of the Susquehanna River burned down a bridge to stop the advance of Confederate troops. It changed the course of the American Civil War. Now, after a recent Supreme Court ruling, both sides of the Susquehanna River, York County and Lancaster County, fall under Pennsylvania District 11. And Jess King for Congress's campaign is trying to unite the cultural divide and win their votes. Her campaign is also getting a boost from Lancaster Stands Up, an emerging grassroots organization like others across the country that have sprung up since President Trump took office. With more than 800 members, volunteers have also been knocking on tens of thousands of doors and making phone calls since January. On a recent day in the small city of Lancaster, their first attempt is rejected.
No, don't even talk about her. Don't like her.
Okay. No worries. Thanks for your time.
But a few doors down, a Trump supporter is receptive.
I actually think I was here before and talked to you a little bit about Jess King for Congress.
Yes, and I am voting for her.
Are
That's
you
awesome.
really? I was raised by my grandparents. They're in their 80s, and they voted Republican down the ticket their entire lives. So they have now apologized to me for voting for Trump. They regret it, and they're going to be voting Democrat this year for the first time in their lives.
It's the face-to-face conversation, Michelle Hines says, where they get the best results. Their hard work is paying off so far, with recent polls showing a single-digit gap in what has become a surprisingly close race to watch this election season. Courtney, Kealy, TRT World, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.